All right, we should be going live. All right, good evening, everyone. Or good afternoon still. We'll call the meeting to order of the Capital Planning Committee, Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. If we could, I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first thing on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes of the last meeting, Tuesday, September 29th. These are emailed out. Did everyone have a chance to review them or any comments or questions about them?
Look good.
Okay, if everyone's all set with them, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Terry?
Yes.
Justice?
Yes.
Holly? I think you're muted. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheryl?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, next up is the department reviews, the capital planning. Lori, I guess we'll let you go first since you've got a little bit less than Chief Bennett. If you'd like to, the floor is yours.
And I'm going to apologize ahead of time to the Capital Planning Committee. I have never been through this before, and I really have just started looking into what I'm hoping we can get for our department and the other departments in our building. So what I'm hoping is that we can get a vehicle that can support my need for four-wheel drive, for going out to perk tests and inspection sites. And I'd like to be able to have something that the assessor's office and my inspectors can have access to also. So all of us would be using it at different times, not only for inspections, but to go back and forth to mandatory trainings and things like that. Unfortunately, the little green buggy that we did have is something like 20 years old now, and it's not as trustworthy as it used to be. And the highway department is utilizing it because they can fix it when they need to. When looking at some of the vehicles that seem to fit the bill, I put an estimate of $35,000, which is, it's a stretch at the moment, but we're in the process of doing some looking for vehicles.
Laura, are you looking for a pickup truck style? Are you looking for an SUV style? What you have in mind?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think that either one would fit the bill. My first thought was looking for an SUV type vehicle that has four-wheel drive. I can store my equipment in the back of the truck and not have to in and out. Luann has equipment that she could leave in the truck or SUV. I'm looking more for a covered vehicle. I don't think we have need for a pickup, so to speak.
Okay. Are you looking new, something that we potentially could lease to purchase to cut the 1-year cost down on capital
We
planning?
absolutely could do that. Again, first time I've ever done this, and I'm up for any kind of instruction that you can give me. With at least, Tom, I'm thinking wear and tear. What happens? Is it a typical lease or is it?
No, usually it's a lease to purchase.
Okay.
We'll act at the end of the 3-year lease. You own the vehicle. I know they do it with the fire engines. I think they do it with the cruisers.
Okay.
But a lot of the vehicles like that's just because it allows it to spread things out a little bit more, but at the same time still get you the vehicle.
Okay.
I don't see anything on the chat. Of course, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry.
I'm just checking to see if there's anything on the chat feature coming in.
Oh, okay.
Do members, any other members have any questions about this request?
I'm just thinking, it'd just be between the two. How many branches are under you, Lori? How many,
We
Lan?
Well, Luann is actually a separate department. Just in development services, we have our electrical inspector, plumbing inspector, our building commissioner, myself. There would be no need for planning or zoning to access a vehicle. It would be more for the people in the building, even like Cheryl, if she had a training that she needed to go to, it would be a vehicle that could be used to take to a training. We wouldn't just be trying to keep it for development services.
Do the inspectors use their own vehicles when they go out?
At this time, and I think that would still remain true for electrical and plumbing, Richard comes to the office first. It might be attractive to him to use a town vehicle.
Thanks.
Do any other members have any other questions about the SUV for developmental services? It wouldn't be. Would it be a take-home vehicle, or it would be something that they'd leave at the? Okay.
I'm all
Just
set.
a con. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sure if I was muted between the phone and this. I just wanted to comment. I know that between Lori and Luann, they're constantly using their personal vehicles for inspections, and I think it would really benefit them and other department heads to be able to have a vehicle here that everybody could use and not put the wear and tear on their own vehicle.
No, I agree with that. I think it's something that it's important that they also helps them be identified when they are out of property and they are, pulling in. It's also something potentially, I'm sure, that we could put a radio into so that if they did have an issue out on a inspection or a site that they could contact. I'm sure that's something we could work with Chief Bennett on dispatching that with just giving them, some type of communication would help too, I think.
Chairman Mike says not an Escalade.
Oh, I actually was going to say that. I was going to say, I'd like to start with an Escalade, but I'm willing to work with you.
Wonder how he knew that.
I don't know. He's smart.
So we'd have to letter this too, right? Put the logo on or,
Yes.
okay.
All right. They don't have any other questions for Lori while she's here?
No.
And you're all going to point me in the right direction, right, on what I need to do.
I do have a question. Would the upkeep of the vehicle come out of capital or would it come out of, do you have a budget?
I don't have a budget for upkeep of a vehicle at this point in time. The vehicle we had before was always serviced by the mechanic at the DPW.
And gas, would that be on the town? Would we have to buy gas too? Gas, tires, everything that comes with the vehicle would
Yeah.
have to come out of capital?
Well, it'd come out of your annual budget as far as the yearly maintenance budget for the town vehicles or the yearly fuel purchases that they fuel at the highway garage.
Are you familiar with that, Holly?
Yes, it would be maintained by the DPW, and they would get their gas over there as well.
Oh, good.
It'd be part of the, Mike Curry just pointed out, it'd be part of the fleet schedule. Same with the insurance, would all be part of the fleet maintenance, and it'd fall right into line. And probably the other vehicle, if they still have it, would be surplus if it's not working, I would assume. Or they,
I still see it out there, so they are using it.
Very
Okay.
good.
All right. Appreciate you presenting this, Lori. We'll review over it, and I believe once we hear all from all the departments, we'll sit down and see what we got and get back to you on them.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks, Lori.
Night, Lori.
Thank you.
Night.
All right, Chief Bennett. Let you decide which one you want to start with. You got a few here. I don't know what.
Yeah. All right. So good afternoon. First, I'll just point to the, Holly should have given you all the information that I submitted. You have the cover sheet with the breakdown of all our vehicles in our fleet. You have the breakdown of our computers within the station. You have a real quick, we have a Polaris ATV that is eventually going to have to be changed out. I'm not looking to do that this year, but we're going to have to be looking at that. And we have the ACO truck that, Tom, you're probably familiar with, being that it's up in Winchendon. Also, we're in the process of trying to get that out, but our first quote we got in was from Townsend Ford, and it's 7,000 over what we have available. So we're working on that.
Okay.
So I'll go into the first request. Over the years, it's taken a long time, but finally, people have gotten on board that were with this committee in the past, that in order to maintain a proper cruiser fleet, you have to replace one car per year. It's supported by Bob Sozik at the Highway Department because it cuts down on maintenance. We rotate out a vehicle. My thing would be is that the former town administrator didn't like to pass down vehicles. He liked to have an auction. I think going forward with these cars coming down, now that we have a better quality vehicle, that these would be good for other departments, i.e. the fire department, car for their officers to go out to do inspections. And if we had something available, we could have given it to Lori and the developmental services, but we don't have one at this time. So you'll look at the first request is we're actually looking at a Ford F-150 Interceptor. That's actually the reason why we're looking at that is what I just touched on base, is that it's a vehicle that can be passed down to somebody else. It's multi-purposed. We have use for it. Gardner just got a truck. Barry has a truck. Brookfield has a truck. It's not out of the realm. The Ford F-150 is the only certified interceptor or pursuit vehicle out of all trucks. So if there's ever an accident involved with a pursuit, which are far and few between, they're covered by insurance. So quoted out, that's roughly $56,7528. So before I move on to the next one, we have any questions on that?
Again, kind of like on the Lori, are you looking to lease to purchase this, or what's your suggestion on how you're looking?
Currently, we only, Tom, out of all the vehicles we have since I've been chief, we only leased one vehicle.
Okay.
Every other vehicle we've purchased outright. That first vehicle we leased was out of the meal tax. And Mr. Terenzini wanted to get out of leasing cruisers and buying them outright and use lease for other vehicles, but that was his preference.
I like repurpose. And this is 5 years old?
But,
'Cause it says
That would be a
age
new-
5.
no, it has a life expectancy of 4 to 5 years old. The one that it's replacing is 5 years old.
Okay. Oh, I see. Estimated
Yep.
useful life in years, 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, the vehicle that it would replace is a 2015 Ford Explorer that currently has 105,000 miles on it. So by the time this vehicle would come in, you're looking at that vehicle having anywhere from 125 to 130,000 miles on it. The
And
one that it
you-
would replace.
Would you have them custom make that like the last one? Would you have to have that made? Like last year, I sat in on
Yep.
that one meeting and
So MHQ does a really good job now. They've kind of streamlined their process where they have vehicles already spec'd out, and you just put your order in, and the whole package is set up.
Yep.
So that's what we would be looking to do.
Would this be on regular patrols, Mike, or is this going to be kind of set aside for certain, or would it be one of your main patrol?
No, it'd be one of the main patrol vehicles. It's actually going to go to the sergeants. That's the intention of this one, would be go to the sergeants, and then you know how that works,
Yep.
Tom. Everything gets trickled down, and then we rotate it through. Any other questions?
Anyone have any other questions on this cruiser request?
I have none.
I have none.
I'm thinking. So that would run like the regular cruisers. You'd leave the engine running on this
Yes.
too? Okay.
Well, I mean, that's only in inclement weather when they would have to leave it running because windows would ice up, and you can't have that and have to respond to a call. So,
All right, thanks.
yep.
All right, Mike, if you want to go on to the next one you got?
Okay, the next one is a kind of a two-stage project. This is the replacement of the part-time officer's bulletproof vest. We did the full-time officers last year, that some of you recall. Can't really give you a breakdown of a quote for the vest because just like last year, we don't know what vest we're going to buy. We did find a very good vest this year that the full-time are using, and I think we'll utilize the same. Show it to you real quick. Oops. It's right here. This is the external carrier. It also comes with an internal carrier. We went with the external carrier because a lot of officers, not our officers in particular, but over time, carrying their duty belts on their waist causes them to have sciatic nerve issues. Going to the external carrier, they are able to take a lot of their equipment and they can spread it out on the vest. We have a way we set it up, and it takes that weight off of their hips, which my officers have already, we've been wearing it for about a month, and they're already praising how much it feels so much better than having the equipment around their waist. So basically, this is just the phase 2 of phasing out the vests. The vests have to be replaced every 5 years by the federal government standards. And that's about it on that one.
Glad they came up with a new model on that.
Will this cover all your part-time officers, Mike?
Yes.
Anyone have any other questions on the bulletproof vests? Okay. On to your next one, Mike.
Okay. Tom, you'll be familiar with this because you were actually here at the time that I did the radio grant through Homeland Security. We currently have probably around 25, 30 portable radios, and talking with area chiefs. And I don't know how you would do it up in Winchendon, but they were advising that they rotate out their portable radios every 10 years. So I'm not looking to change out our whole inventory in 1 year. What I would like to do is 3 phases. This would be the first phase. We'll do 9. Next year we would do 9, and then we would do the rest. And then I actually have the quote in there for that replacement. It's roughly 86, 93, 91. These radios are not obsolete. However, for the purposes that we use on a regular basis, 365, 24/7, sometimes we are having issues with them, and they're starting to not be at the top of their game. These radios, however, could be handed down to other departments, highway department, the CERT team, agencies like that need communications. They would be perfectly fine for what they needed for. But that's my intention of this request.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom.
Go ahead, Terry.
So it's $1,000 per unit, just about, if you round up.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be roughly $9,000 for a couple years. If you switch them out, you're saying switch them out in.
Yeah, I would do this project over 3 years instead of trying to do it all at once.
And I definitely agree with repurposing them a little bit too, because like you said, they may not be at a stage in their life usefulness where they should be used by a police officer at an emergency scene, but they could be used for, various other things throughout the community as far as that goes.
I agree.
Just take a beating. They get used every day. They get used constantly. I know we just replaced some radios, and it's quite it's an expense, but we actually bought extra batteries to go with them to rotate out. Might actually be
we did that. We have batteries on spare too, because it's surprising how an older battery and a new battery is totally different.
Yeah, you definitely. And if you're at a major incident, the last thing you need to do is have no battery life left in your radio. So,
yes. Any other questions on the portables?
Mike, is there any trade-in value to these things? Or is it not worth it?
I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if Tom has done that.
We haven't traded in any to the place you're buying them from. Usually there's minimal, especially once they start hitting 10 years older, they're basically software wise, they've become obsolete. But as far as every once in a while, there's places out there that look to buy used pagers or used radios, but it varies. It's not really a big market when it comes to actually purchasing them.
Thank you.
Good question.
Anything else?
All right. I guess
Okay.
Next one.
All right. The next 3 are not requests related to free cash. They will come from other sources of income. The first one, you'll see looking to replace the 3 older computers. Those will either come out of my maintenance account equipment account or out of 911. So the purchase of 3 of them would be roughly 2708.58. Added about 5% increase to 35 because it was an older quote. Like I said, we have to rotate these out. These computers are 7 years old, 6 years old, and 6 years old. So we'll be looking to replace those this year. I'm not asking for that to go on free cash. Like I said, these will come from other funding sources. My next one is the repeater voter system. This I actually tried to get replaced or actually purchased through the 911 developmental grant. Out of that grant, I got half of the grant, which was bringing Phillipston Fire online with our wide area network. They chose not to fund this part of the project. So again, this would come out of not free cash. This would come out of 911, other 911 funds. And what we would do is we would put a repeater voter system on the new tower in the center of Phillipston. We're hoping that this repeater voter system would increase our coverage to be able to, as Tom knows through his experience in town, Berry Road area and that gully area in there, we lose service. We're hoping that this would increase that service and possibly help Aldenville with their poor service because the antenna would be so high. It's approximately 150 feet higher than the antenna that's at the Phillipston Fire Station. Phillipston Fire actually has a radio on this particular antenna, and we can hear them when they're all on the other side of Athol. We can hear Phillipston. So we would hope that this would help that. And the last one is we're looking to, again, increase our radio coverage, Ladder Hill Antenna Project. If none of you are familiar with the wireless tower on Ladder Hill, that tower has a lot of activity over the last 2 years with other wireless companies coming out. Our antenna currently sits like in the bulk of all the cluster. We have permission from Crown Castle to take our antenna and put it at the top of the tower. And in order to do that, it's going to cost roughly, I put a little contingency fund on it because this, like I said, this is an old quote from a year ago. So $5,500 to take our antenna to put it at the top. And again, I'm hoping to increase our coverage and have better service throughout the town. And this is not coming from free cash. This would be from other budget sources, whether my personal department budget or 911 funds. So do we have any questions on those?
I have none. I don't know if anyone else has any questions.
I have none.
Oh, I don't. Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you.
No question, just a comment. The computers are definitely really old.
Yeah,
They recommend replacing those every 3 years, so that should definitely be at the top of the list.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because of the nature of our department, we have a lot of computers, and we can't realistically change out that many in 1 year. So yes, some get put off longer than others. So
Good to have them on a rotating schedule like that, do like 3 every year.
we're trying.
Oh, I appreciate you coming with these, Mike. And like I said to Lori, we'll review over them and go from there. Once we hear from everybody, we'll get back in touch with you guys.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Night.
Night, Mike.
All right. those are the only two department reviews we have this evening. Our next meeting is Monday, November 9th at 4:30. We will, I don't have it right in front of me which departments are coming that night, but I believe there's three more. We got, it'll be the fire department, community services on Monday the 9th. And then on the 18th will be DPW, sewer, and CPC. If anyone have any other questions or anything else that they wanted to bring up today, I know we'll be getting some info from the services, community services. I believe they'll be looking into some stuff about the sidewalk machine. I will be receiving some others, I'm sure, from both the fire and DPW. So
when we deliberate, do we do that in private or on Zoom in private, like executive session, or how does that work?
no, as far as I believe, it'll still be a regular meeting. We'll sit down and discuss over the projects. I was going to look over the form that they've used in the past and work on having the form zeroed out so that we can kind of score and see how we feel the projects are and that, and then go from there with the discussion. And then the recommendations, I believe the following final recommendations would be Wednesday, December 16th. December 9th, we'd go over developing our recommendations and then give us the final recommendations on the 16th.
Did the fire department get all their breathing apparatus replaced last year on the pilot, or are they, we'll have to find out. I guess they're going to come before us and we'll find out, but I don't know.
I'm not sure if they got them all, if they replaced or like halfway through that project. I'd have to look. We haven't got his capital planning ones yet.
Just wondering how many pilots we could get. Thinking of the vests, that might be an idea for the chief's vest. If we, understand, get a pilot for that too. I'm just trying to think ahead. Are you familiar with that, the pilot?
I am. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how much or what they'd be looking for as far as the upcoming thing, but the vest would be a possibility. That's something that would be a reoccurring thing every 10 years so with their projects, so we'd have to look into that.
Tom, I got a request from TCTV. When do we have them on? Do we have them scheduled, or do I need to get that scheduled?
When Adam put the schedule together, I think he had figured on, there was the last on that Wednesday, any other departments that hadn't been individually listed.
Okay.
Probably maybe put them on that one, I would think, or either one would be fine. Rather than having an extra meeting, I think we could probably put it onto that.
Okay.
Excuse me, Tom, I thought we're part of community services, so I was planning to be there Monday.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. That would work out great. I wasn't sure exactly where you fell on that, other than important during this time. So we'll go with that. Does anyone have anything else that they want to bring up or go over tonight?
I'm all set.
Okay, Terry, you got anything? You all set?
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, Holly.
All set.
All right, Justice, you all set up there?
Yeah, I'm all set. It was a good session.
Okay, good. And I don't see anything on the chat, so this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Terry?
Yep.
Holly?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Justice?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you guys very much. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. And
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Have a good night.
Good night.